Carol Burnett is an American comedian, actress, and singer. Her comedy variety series, The Carol Burnett Show, which originally aired on CBS, was one of the first to be hosted by a woman. Burnett has performed on Broadway, on television, and in dramatic and comedic film roles. Born April 26, 1933, age 91 years, San Antonio, Texas, United States. Spouse, Brian Miller, M. 2001, Joe Hamilton, M. 1963 to 1984, Don Saroyan, M. 1955 to 1962. Children, Carrie Hamilton, Aaron Hamilton, Jody Hamilton. Height, 1.69 meters. Parents, Ina Louise Creighton, Joseph Thomas Burnett. Siblings, Chrissy Burnett. Carol Burnett, net worth $45 million. Early life and education. Carol Creighton Burnett was born on April 26, 1933, at Nick's Hospital in San Antonio, Texas, the daughter of Ina Louise, née Creighton, a publicity writer for movie studios, and Joseph Thomas Burnett, a movie theater manager. Her maternal grandparents were William Henry Creighton, 1873 to 1918, and Mabel Eudora May Jones, 1885 to 1967. Her parents divorced in the late 1930s. Subsequently, both parents independently moved to Hollywood, and Burnett moved with her grandmother to a one-room apartment near her mother. They lived in an impoverished area of Hollywood, California, in a boarding house with Burnett's younger half-sister, Chrissy. When Burnett was in second grade, she briefly invented an imaginary twin sister named Karen, with Shirley Temple-like dimples. She later recalled that, motivated to further the pretense, she fooled the other boarders in the rooming house where we lived by frantically switching clothes and dashing in and out of the house by the fire escape and the front door. Then I became exhausted and Karen mysteriously vanished. When Burnett was 9, she taught herself how to do the Tarzan yell, which she realized years later was a good vocal exercise for volume, and it became a fan favorite. Burnett's first experiences with singing were with her family. Her grandmother was a trained musician who could play the piano, although they did not have one at the time, and her mother played the ukulele, so they sometimes sang popular songs in harmony together around the kitchen table. Her grandmother frequently took Burnett and her sister to the movies. They would take a few rolls of toilet paper home from the theater. The movies she saw in her youth influenced the sketch content in The Carol Burnett Show. Burnett worked as an usherette at the Warner Brothers Theater, now the Hollywood Pacific Theater. When the cinema screened Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train, 1951, having already seen and enjoyed the film, she advised two patrons arriving during the last 5 minutes of a showing to wait until the beginning of the next showing to avoid spoiling the ending for them, but the couple insisted on being seated. The manager observed Burnett not letting the couple in and fired her, stripping the epaulets from her uniform on the spot. Years later in the 1970s, after achieving TV stardom, when the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce offered her a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, they asked her where she wanted it. She replied right in front of where the old Warner Brothers Theater was, at Hollywood and Wilcox, which is where it was placed, at 6439 Hollywood Boulevard. After graduating from Hollywood High School in 1951, Burnett received an anonymous envelope containing $50 for 1 year's tuition at UCLA, where she initially planned on studying journalism. During her first year of college, she switched her focus to theater arts and English, with the goal of becoming a playwright. She found she had to take an acting course to enter the playwright program. On the subject, she later reflected, "I wasn't really ready to do the acting thing, but I had no choice." During her first performance, she got a sudden impulse to speak her lines in a new way. "Don't ask me why, but when we were in front of the audience, I suddenly decided I was going to stretch out all my words and my first line came out, 'I'm Babayak.'" The audience response moved her deeply. Career. 1955 to 1966, rise to prominence. Burnett spent her first year in New York working as a hat check girl and trying to land acting jobs. She and other girls living at the Rehearsal Club, a boarding house for women seriously pursuing acting careers, put on the Rehearsal Club Review on March 3, 1955. They mailed invitations to agents, who showed up along with stars like Celeste Holm and Marlene Dietrich. Such attendance opened doors for several of the girls. Burnett was cast in a minor role on The Paul Winchell and Jerry Mahoney Show in 1955. She played the girlfriend of a ventriloquist's dummy on the popular children's program. This role led to her starring role opposite Buddy Hackett in the short-lived sitcom Stanley from 1956 to 1957. After Stanley, Burnett found herself unemployed for a short time. A few months later she bounced back, becoming highly popular as a performer on the New York circuit of cabarets and nightclubs, most notably for a hit parody number called I Made a Fool of Myself over John Foster Dulles. Dulles was Secretary of State at the time. In 1957, she performed this number on both The Tonight Show and The Ed Sullivan Show. Dulles was asked about her on Meet the Press and joked, "I never discuss matters of the heart in public." Around this time, she also worked as a regular on one of television's earliest game shows, Pantomime Quiz. On January 10, 1958, just as she was achieving her first small successes, her mother died. In October 1960, Burnett debuted at New York City's Blue Angel Supper Club, where she was discovered by scouts for The Jack Paar Show and The Ed Sullivan Show. Personal life. Marriages and family. Burnett married her college sweetheart Dawn Soroyan on December 15, 1955. They divorced in 1962. On May 4, 1963, Burnett married television producer Joe Hamilton, a divorced father of 8 and brother of actress Kip Hamilton who had produced her 1962 Carnegie Hall concert. He later produced The Carol Burnett Show, among other projects. The couple had 3 daughters. Carrie Hamilton, December 5, 1963 to January 20, 2002, who died at the age of 38 from pneumonia as a complication of lung and brain cancer. She was a writer and an actress. Jody Hamilton, born January 18, 1967, a film producer and, as of 2023, the executive producer of The Stephanie Miller Show and an occasional actress. Erin Hamilton, born August 14, 1968, a singer. In early 1965, she had a miscarriage while in her 9th week of pregnancy. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1984. The challenge of coping with Carrie's drug problems was mentioned as part of the reason for the separation, but the couple took the opportunity to inform other parents about handling such problems and raised money for the clinic in which Carrie was treated. In 1988, Burnett and Carrie took a trip to Moscow to help introduce the first Alcoholics Anonymous branch in the Soviet Union. Joe Hamilton died of cancer in 1991. Also in the 1980s, Burnett participated in a publicity campaign for Medic Alert, of which she is symbolically the 1 millionth member with the 1 millionth bracelet. On November 24, 2001, Burnett married drummer Brian Miller, who is 23 years her junior.